Hello guys and welcome to my new video, and today we're going to be talking about BfA in general. It's been a long time since I actually made a video because I've been playing World of Warcraft so much, and as someone who has alts, who enjoys playing alts, there is really a lot of stuff to be doing, so I've been kind of busy in terms of videos, but I've been hearing a lot of negative feedback about BfA, a lot of negative feedback about the filler content that's been introduced. A lot of people are angry, and to some extent I can see where they're coming from. I can see the issues with the expansion, but to another extent a lot of people are angry at the start of expansions. So and again, being angry at something and not providing any positive feedback or any constructive feedback is just basically hating on the game, and I don't want to be hating on the game because I love World of Warcraft. I enjoy Battle for Azeroth. There's so many good things about this, but there's a couple of things that I felt they could have done better. Maybe they could have advertised better or introduced to those concepts, introduce people to the new concepts a little bit better. So I'm going to talk about things that I feel maybe were not the best, and maybe how we could change this, how we could make it better. So first of all, let's talk about some of the filler content that people are kind of unhappy about, and I feel a lot of that is stemming from things like island expeditions and maybe Warfronts to some extent. First of all, a lot of people were unhappy about Warfronts in terms of how boring they are. I mean, it's basically 20 to 30 minutes where people can go AFK. I think most people, what they use Warfronts for right now is alt catch up, because you get gear from it. It's relatively easy. It's not very engaging. People just go AFK and they do nothing, and they get gear for it, for their alts, for their whatever. First of all, I think because Blizzard advertised Warfronts as one of the main features of Battle for Azeroth and things like that, people were left disappointed because, again, it feels more of a filler content that doesn't really contribute anything. I mean, besides, it does provide character progression. Again, before people are going to be looking at this video and things like that, if MMO game does not have a grinding component to it, and it doesn't provide players with a reason to log in every day, it's not really an MMO game. So I understand that games like World of Warcraft will have this grinding component because this is what keeps people logging in. So I don't mind having to do tons of world quests and things like that, because they have to be there in order for you to progress the game, to do the dirty stuff, to do the more annoying stuff, to progress your character until you can do the fun stuff, which in my eyes is Mythic Plus and raiding, or PvP for the people who do PvP. So you need to go through that grind in order to do the good content, and I feel that's what every good MMO game has to kind of do. In terms of Warfronts, I'm not even that upset about this. I mean, a lot of people are upset about the time gating, like you have to wait for ages for it to unlock and things like that on certain factions. So I can see why people are angry, but again, I feel the biggest disappointment for Warfronts is that they put so much effort into it that I feel that the development time could have been used somewhere else. Like, I mean, we could have used like 3 or 4, or 2 or whatever new Mythic Plus dungeons. I feel that would have been more rewarding than just going through like 20 to 30 minute grind fest of doing nothing and getting an item at the end with no real satisfaction. I don't know, but that's my opinion about this. Now, in terms of island expeditions, this is something that I've been very vocal about, and this is one of those contents where it's almost mandatory for you to do, because you get this huge AP bonus per week. So if you do like 5, I think it's about 5 heroic wins of island expeditions, you'll get the cap and you get like 2,500 AP. So you're almost pushed into doing it. So I have 2 characters and I have to do it on both of the characters. Now, for me, island expeditions are kind of boring. I mean, the rewards are not really great. It doesn't feel very rewarding for you to do it. I mean, it's not the worst thing that I've ever seen, but for some reason I'm just not engaged in island expeditions. No matter what island I do, it all feels the same for me. You're doing the same thing, you're collecting resources, you're killing the alliance, horde, whatever, and it just, I always leave it till the very end day. I always leave it on Tuesday, where I have to go and grind all of them at the very end, and it almost feels like work. I really don't enjoy island expeditions. I know some people like them. I feel they should give better rewards, or in my eyes, or Island Expeditions should become something like pet battles, where it is going to be catered towards the people who really enjoy Island Expeditions. They give you like mounts or pet battles, or I mean pets or whatever, but they're not open or not mandatory for the general population, because I don't feel everyone enjoys Island Expeditions to the same extent as pet battles. Maybe there is a fraction, or there's a good amount of people who really like pet battles, but there's a good amount of people who just don't care about them, and they're not forced into doing either one of those. So the difference with Island Expeditions, everyone's forced to do Island Expeditions because it gives you AP. AP is a universal way of getting your Heart of Azeroth, which basically is a universal way of progressing your character. So I feel it either needs to give better rewards, or it needs to be pushed to the side and basically allocated to the people who really want to do it, and everyone else is not forced into doing it. At least that's my opinion for the time being. I mean, please leave your comments below on how you feel this could be improved. I mean, this is not all just up to me. I love to hear your opinions about Island Expeditions. Do you enjoy them? Do you want more out of them? How could they be improved? Now, another thing that I feel that I kinda could improve is Azerite Gear. So there's been multiple Q&As, there's been multiple posts made about things like, yes, Blizzard knows the thing that, you know, when you get an high Azerite level piece but you haven't unlocked any Azerite traits, is that going to be an upgrade over your lower item level one? It doesn't feel great. So at the start of BfA, they reduced the AP levels needed to unlock traits on heroic and mythic gear, on at least in mythic dungeons, because they knew that people who would go and do heroics or mythic zeros or whatever at the start of BfA expansion, the launch, they knew that no one, unless they went really hardcore with AP grinding, would have it unlocked. So every piece of Azerite gear that was dropped, it would be like, okay, whatever, it's a high item level but it doesn't unlock traits, I don't want this. And I still feel that exists to some extent for the more casual players, including myself, to be honest, because I have 2 characters and my Heart of Azeroth is level 21, and I honestly have burnt out on doing every world quest every day on my 2 characters. Because there's so many world quests right now that it takes me around, I think it was around 2 hours to do every single world quest that was available on Alliance, Horde side, on one of my characters, in order to get that AP level or Heart of Azeroth higher. So I kind of bore down on that, and I stopped doing it for a little while, and my Heart of Azeroth is 21, and now if I go to heroic raiding or if I go to mythic raid and Azerite gear drops and I'm like, I might not be able to unlock this, or maybe secondary trade is not going to be unlocked, I'm not sure if that's going to be better or worse. I feel that a really good solution would have been something like that. Every single Azerite trade piece is going to be unlocked. You're going to be able to select which traits you want. Let's say, for example, for Restoration Druid with Autumn Leaves. Autumn Leaves increases your rejuvenation healing if it's the only heal over time on it. Let's say your Heart of Azeroth is level 15. You get a high heroic piece, like 370 Azerite piece. All of those traits are going to be unlocked. You're going to be able to select, you know, your outer ring, inner ring, and stuff like that. But the power of all of those traits is going to depend on your Heart of Azeroth. So if your Heart of Azeroth is level 15, your rejuvenation is gonna increase healing by like 100. If your Heart of Azeroth is like level 20, it's gonna increase rejuvenation healing by 300, 200, or something like that. So basically, anytime Azerite pieces drop, you still feel it's an upgrade, and you still get to choose the traits that you want. But the power of those traits is going to be directly linked with your Heart of Azeroth, which again provides character progression over time. Every time you do that world quest, every time you do whatever that gives you AP, you feel like, okay, I'm moving towards a better trait, a more powerful trait, which again, every MMO game really needs to have, and I feel that could have been really nice. Again, eliminates the whole point of, oh, you got this high item level Azerite piece, it's probably not an upgrade anyways. That's negative. That should never be in a MMO game where you get higher item level piece and you're not sure if that's going to be better or not. But that's just my 2 cents on it. And another concept that people have been really asking for is account-wide reputation, and there's been petitions made on Reddit and things like that about bringing account-wide reputation because of things like Champion of Azeroth and alts. It's mainly about alts, where people don't want to be grinding reputations on their alts multiple times trying to get there, like for example, your Heart of Azeroth gets maxed out in terms of item levels when you reach Revered with Champion of Azerite Reputation. It's really not that hard to do, but I mean, if you have like 4 or 5 alts, at some point that's going to be really, really annoying. So I can see why people want this. It's a really big quality of life improvement in terms of alts, in terms of the amount of grinding that you need to do, and I can see why people are upset about this, plus like transmog and things like that. People have introduced concepts like you buy a token from a certain reputation faction and you're able to send it to, it's going to be account bound, you send it to alts, they get exalted and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of concepts flying about, and I kind of agree with this. As someone who wants to have as many alts as possible, I feel I'm very restricted with 2 alts at the moment because there's so much filler content to do. There's so much grinding to do, which again is mandatory for MMO game, but I feel it should still be made easier for alts. Now, that's very hypocritical for me to say that alts or leveling alts or progressing with your alts should be made easier, because in Legion it was extreme, like it was basically impossible to play anything other than your main spec. I'm not talking about your off specs or your alts. You could only basically focus on your main spec in Legion, which was extremely restrictive. But I feel in BfA, why not just make alts a bit? I know there's catch-up systems. I know AP is getting reduced every week, so every week that you delay it, you can create an alt next month. Why not just make it account-wide? I feel that could be so beneficial towards alts, because again, a lot of people enjoy playing alts. Again, leave a comment below. Do you have an alt? I feel that right now, to have a maximum enjoyment of the game, you really should have an alt. You really should have another character besides your main that you play, because it gives you more enjoyment to the game, in my eyes. In my eyes. I don't know, maybe people don't have enough time to play it and things like that, so please leave a comment again. Again, there's been another fiasco that happened kind of just now, and that's to do with Mythic Plus chest. The weekly chest. A lot of people who were doing Mythic Plus last week, they were like, oh man, in beta you could get 1 to 3 items drop, there's a chance of getting Azerite chest piece or Azerite shoulders or hound. Man, all of the sudden Mythic Plus community were like, we don't have to do raids anymore, we can actually do Mythic Plus, and every week we can have a chance of getting those chests, because on weekly chests you get 1 to 3 items. And just the day before I was checking out Twitter, Blizzard has announced that multiple item drops from weekly chests in beta was a bug. So you can only get 1 item, and it's not a guaranteed Azerite tier piece. And I was reading this and I'm like, this is just terrible. Not in the concept of that you can drop multiple items, in the concept of communicating to your players. You're leaving it till the last second to tell everybody that no, the only real way to get high Azerite pieces is through raids. You can't focus on just Mythic Plus. If you're just a Mythic Plus player, you gotta go and raid. You gotta go and try and get those good Azerite pieces. And first of all, there really isn't that many good. For certain specs, some of the Azerite pieces from raids are just terrible. So the only good Azerite pieces they could get were from Mythic Plus. But all of a sudden, every week, you only have a chance of getting 1 piece of item, and that item might not be your Azerite piece either way. So, I don't understand this at all. I mean, they could have went with this if they would have let everyone know about this when the beta finished. So I feel this is a real lack of communication in terms of Blizzard, and I feel some of the community managers should have really done something about this. This is, on top of everything that's been going on in Reddit, a lot of the hate that's been happening towards Blizzard and BfA, this is just fueling the fire with just the lack of communication. So I really don't understand this at all. I'm not sure about this, you know, one loot per week. Not sure if it's going to be Azerite piece. All of a sudden, some of the Azerite pieces from raids are not great. What do we do here? So there are a lot of different solutions here to be implemented again. Like, I mean, I don't even feel bad about bringing back the old concept of having 1 to 3 pieces of loot drop. I actually was kinda, like, you know, I know it's very RNG, but it's not the worst kind of concept. So I'm not sure what they're gonna do with this here, but just the lack of communication was pretty weird in my opinion. But overall, I know this has been a very negative video overall. Well, to some extent negative video. I tried to provide my solutions to things that I consider to be pretty bland or pretty boring. Overall, I love World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is my favorite game. It's the game that I spend most time playing from day to day, and I played this for years. So I feel I try to provide my own solutions. I try to provide a more positive spin on things. Again, I'm only one person. There is a lot of different opinions out there. I really would love to hear your opinions on things like Iron Expeditions, on Warfronts, on things like the Mythic Plus chest, on basically all of the topics that I covered in this video. Again, I am very interested in your opinion. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next guide.